Okay.
We are not able to hear you.
Okay, so in terms of Amazon storage has been concerned, there are 4 types of storages. The first one is Amazon Instant Store. Second one is EBS, Elastic Block Store. And third storage is Amazon S3. S3 stands for Amazon Simple Storage Service. And fourth one, Glacier, which we call it as a Amazon Archival Storage. Usually it is used for storing backups. Okay, so it is almost similar to backup of our data. We go for this Glacier. Let me discuss about the differences associated with these the above said 4 types of storages. So here, the machine that you launch in Amazon, the virtual machine. In our example, we have launched a Ubuntu machine. Okay, Ubuntu 14.04. So the machine that we have launched in this Amazon, as you already aware, is termed as instance. It is not a physical machine, it is a virtual machine. We have already discussed about this concept of virtual machine. A virtual machine is a logical machine, which is nothing but a software-based computer. Okay, so we create a machine and we have assigned a hard disk capacity of 8 GB, and laterly we have had a additional hard disk of 2 GB, like things. Okay, the hard disk here attached to this machine has been termed as EBS. Then what is instance store? How an instance store differs from EBS? Okay, these are all the things that we are going to discuss in today's session. So first thing, here this is your physical server. Okay, on top of the physical server, you have some virtualization softwares. The virtualization software used by Amazon is Citrix. Citrix server. The virtualization software used by Amazon is Citrix. Okay, so using this virtualization software, we can able to create an instance. An instance is nothing but a virtual machine that we launched in the Amazon cloud. Okay, so this physical hardware may have its own microprocessor, may have its own hard disk. Let me assume the hard disk capacity of this physical server is 10 TB. Okay, so we have a separate storage also here, like a NAS box or a sandbox that we have already discussed. So a NAS box or sandbox, which is especially meant for storage. I will show how it will look like. EMC NAS. Okay, these are all the storage boxes which contains a bunch of hard disk. Okay, you have a multiple hard disk, then you can assign. So here is your network switch. You may have n number of computers. For each and every computer, okay, assume that you can attach it to this storage. This storage can be a NAS box, network attached storage, or a storage area network. Here, this machine is in need of 10 TB. Let me imagine, okay, this machine is in need of 5 TB instance. What we can do? So you can create a LAN for 10 terabyte in this box, and it can be mapped with this machine. And you can create a LAN for 5 terabytes and you can map with this machine. Okay, so similarly what you can do, So you can create an additional LAN for 5 terabytes and you can map with this machine. Okay, this 5 terabytes can be mapped with the machine. Here the storage will be in your storage box. Okay, so here this is one way of assigning a storage to the computer connected in the network. So here in this case what we can do is the storage that is assigned from a storage box to the computer that we have created in a cloud has been termed as EBS, Elastic Block Store. Okay, Elastic Block Store, what we have discussed in our previous session. So here in your physical server itself you may have a hard disk. If you create the storage, for example, this virtual machine need to be assigned 8 GB of hard disk. For that what you can create? You can create a 8 GB volume here in your physical server on top of it where you have configured this virtual machine, and this 8 GB will be assigned to the virtual machine. Okay, if that is the case, if a hard disk associated with the physical server is assigned as a hard disk to the instance that you have created on top of the physical server, that sort of storage has been termed as Amazon Instance Store. Okay, then if you have a separate box like this, what we have shown to you, if you have a separate box, storage box, and if you assign for your computer, you need a 10 terabyte of storage. If you create a LAN and assign to this computer, assume that this is your virtual machine, this is your instance. Okay, so this is your Ubuntu machine where you have created the machine on top of a physical server. Okay, so you are not going to assign the hard disk volume from the physical server. If you assign this hard disk volume to the instance, this is called as instance store. If you assign this physical volume, okay, from this separate storage, and this sort of assignment is called as EBS, Elastic Block Store. So that is the difference between EBS and the instance store in terms of this architecture has been concerned. Okay, so next, what's the difference in having an instance store and having an Elastic store? So you have this virtual machine. Okay, if you terminate the virtual machine, you can either shut down the machine or you can terminate the machine, stop the machine and stop. If you terminate this virtual machine, what happens here in this case? If this 10 TB of storage is, if it is assigned from EBS, a separate storage area network, then in this case, you sound here in this case, your storage will be retained there, even though if your instance got terminated. At later stages, what you can do, you can create another machine, another virtual machine too, of similar to that of the same operating system, and you can able to attach the storage to the machine. So here the data persistence is until not up to the lifetime. Okay, even if your instance is also down, then your data won't be erased, it will be retained there until you explicitly erase the data. Okay, that is the advantage of going for this EBS. Imagine that your EBS is similar to your external hard disk or your external pen drive. Okay, you can copy the file in your external hard disk or in your external pen drive, and once the machine has been down, you can detach that hard disk. You can, if you want to perform a read or write, you can put again in another computer and you can able to read or write. Okay, it is not associated with the lifetime of your instance if it is a EBS volume. Whereas if it is an instance store volume, if you terminate the instance, that particular hard disk volume will also be terminated. Okay, the data won't be retained. The lifetime of the data, if it is an Amazon instance storage, up to the lifetime of your instance. When you terminate the instance, you will also lose the data also. Data will be also terminated. Whereas in case of EBS, it is not like that. If you terminate the instance, it won't have any impact on your data. You can detach the data disk and laterly you can make use of it whenever that you need. That is the differences between having Amazon instance store based volume and EBS based volume. What we have discussed in our previous session last week in terms of storage is a EBS volume. If you want to create an instance store volume, you want to create using some instance backed AMI that we will discuss later. Okay, So this is the difference, basic difference between instance store and EBS. For both the instance store and EBS store, you need to attach it with the instance. If you want to perform a read or write activity to the particular hard disk, it need to be attached with the instance in the cloud. Without attaching with the instance, you can't able to do a read or write activity in this case. If you want, without attaching to an instance, if you want to perform a read or write on the data that you have stored in Amazon cloud, so you need to go for the following two things. First thing is S3, Amazon Simple Storage Service. The second thing is Glacier. Okay. So what is S3? In S3, we call this S3 as a object storage. We call this S3 as a object storage. We call this as a Glacier as a archive storage. S3 as a object storage. EBS as a block, an instance as a block storage. If it is block storage, then you need, if you to perform a read and write of the data, it need to be attached with the instance. Instance is nothing but a virtual computer you created in the cloud has been termed as instance. If you don't want to attach it with an instance, if you want to perform access to the object, read access or write access or execute access, you need to go for a storage called as S3. Imagine, what do you mean by S3? S3 we call it as a object storage. Object instance, we can able to store all multimedia objects. Such as you can able to store your audio file, you can store your video file, you can store your images, even you can store large PDF like thing. Okay. So you want to create a storage area called as a bucket. In that bucket, you can upload, you can perform a upload or you can perform a download from the bucket. Okay, so if you upload, what are all the things that you can upload? You can able to upload the above set, audio file, video file, images, PDF, documents, etc., etc. These files have been termed as objects. Okay, so here, let me imagine that we have uploaded an image in this particular location. Okay, the bucket is nothing but similar to your directory. So where you store the files, you will organize the files under a directory in a normal operating system like Windows or Linux. Similarly, in Amazon storage, if you want to organize your files, those files may be any one of the above set object files. It need to be associated with a bucket. A bucket is a similar container which is nothing but similar to a directory in your operating system. Okay, under the bucket you can upload multiple objects. Okay, you can upload image file, audio, video under the same bucket itself. So you have uploaded an image. You want to share the image to other people instance. What you need to do here is, once you upload an image or audio or video, anything, what happens is a URL is created. A URL, uniform resource locator, a URL is created. So to whom that you need to share that particular object, you need to just copy the URL to them. You need to share the URL from them. They can able to access that particular object which is stored in the bucket without being connected to the cloud, Amazon cloud. They can make use of your laptop. Again, they can make use of their tablet, or they can make use of their mobile phone. Okay, they can make use of the mobile phone and they can able to access the object that we have uploaded in the bucket. No need to establish a connection with this Amazon cloud. Whereas if you have your data present in this instance store and the elastic block store, what you need to do? First you want to connect to this Amazon account, and then you need to connect to the particular instance in which the volume is attached, and after that only you can perform a read and write activity. This is what associated with this instance too. Whereas in case of S3, you no need to connect to Amazon. What you need, whenever an object is uploaded and that URL is created, then to whom that object need to be shared, the URL alone should be given. they can able to perform any activity on that object according to the privilege assigned to the user. You can assign a privileges. Okay, you can assign a system level privileges. You can assign object level privileges, so that the shared user what he can do, whether he need to just view, whether he can be given access to modify or delete or download. This sort of activity can be assigned by set of rules that we will discuss. We call this as a bucket policy. By setting certain policies to the user will be given a restricted access to the object. Okay, we call this as a bucket policies. This is the way by the bucket policies you can perform a user access control to S3, to the object stored in S3. Okay, so now the difference between this S3 and the above said Amazon the first two storages, elastic block store and instance storage. If you store your data in instance store or elastic block store, that is option 1 and 2, you need to associate with the instance. That is mandatory. If you didn't associate with the instance, you can't able to perform a read or write action. Whereas if you store your object in S3, no need to associate with the instance. No need to associate with the instance. Okay, instance is nothing but the virtual machine that you create in the cloud. So then how you can able to access, once an object is uploaded, a URL will be created. Using that URL only you can able to access. How the access to the end user can be controlled? By specifying a policy called as this bucket policies. So through these bucket policies only you can the user can be controlled. What sort of action that the user can perform with the above set bucket and the associated data present in the bucket can be controlled by the bucket policies. You need to write your own policy. Okay, else you can specify some access control list, ACL, or you can give access restriction using IAM. There are several ways in Amazon Cloud using which you can control the user access to the services and the resources associated with the Amazon public cloud. Okay, so then what is the difference between S3 and Glacier? Okay, S3 and Glacier is more or less the same thing. The difference is that in terms of cost. Okay, if you store your object, let me take, if you store 1 GB of data for 1 month in S3, let me imagine it is rupees 5. Okay, for storing 1 GB of data for a duration of 1 month, if it is S3, then the storage cost will be rupees 5 per month. If the same thing, if you store in Glacier, the cost will be only rupees 50 paise. Okay, only 50 paise per GB. So almost 1 is to 10 times. If you need to pay 10 rupees in S3, the same thing, if you use a Glacier, you need to pay 1 rupee. That is the advantage of going for S3 compared to that of Glacier. Okay, so the what is the then each and everyone they are looking for storing their data in Glacier, not on S3. Okay, then what is the difference? If we have an advantage in forms of cost wise, Glacier is very less cost. Okay, compared to that of S3. Then what is the advantage here in S3 is the access to the information is very fast in S3 compared to that of Glacier. If it is Glacier, if you want to perform a upload of your data or if you want to perform a download of the data, here minimum it took around 4 hours. Why so? Because S3 is made up of using a sophisticated hardware, whereas a Glacier is made up of using a commodity hardware. That is the reason why there will be a delay in fetching the data. If your application can able to withstand any delay in perform a read or write activity, then you can store the data in a Glacier. The second thing, what sort of data usually will be stored in a Glacier? Those data which is not subjected to further modification will be stored in the Glacier. Okay, these are all the advantages of going for S3 compared to that of Glacier, and Glacier compared to that of S3. Both the thing will have its own advantage. S3's advantage is access to the information is very fast. Glacier's advantage is the storage cost will be very less. But both the thing, if you have data stored in Glacier and if you have your data stored in S3, so without connecting to your computer, that is without connecting to the instance, you can able to perform a read or write activity. Whereas if you have your data in instance store or elastic block store, what you need to do, you need to associate with the instance. Then only you can able to perform a read or write activity in terms of instance store and elastic block store. Okay. So option 1, instance store and the elastic block store need a association with the instance. First difference. Whereas your S3 and Glacier no need to associate with the instance. You can associate or you can't, you no need to associate, both the thing. Then second thing, compared to that of, yes, compared to that of instance store and EBS, the difference is if you terminate your EC2 instance, if you have your data in instance store, it is also terminated. Whereas in case of EBS, if you terminate the EC2, EBS data will be retained. Okay, you can laterally create another EC2 instance and you can attach the EBS. But both the thing need to associate with the instance. Whereas S3 and Glacier, you no need to associate with the instance. The difference between S3 and Glacier is in terms of cost, S3 is very high compared to that of Glacier. In terms of performance also, S3's performance in reading and write will be high compared to that of Glacier. You need to wait minimum 3 to 4 hours to make a read or write in the Glacier. But the advantage here is cost is very less. Then what sort of data has been stored in the Glacier? In Glacier, you can store archive data. Those data which is not going to subjected to further modification. Okay, like if you are going to, for example, in a healthcare, if you are going to store all the scan reports, okay, all the scan reports of the patients, which is not subjected to any modification, you can choose the option of Glacier. Okay, so if in your PW department, if you want to store all the plans for the home constructed under that particular area, okay, all the design plans, home design plans, then those design plans is not subjected to any modification, already constructed home. Those things can be stored in the Glacier. Okay, so each and every domain, if the data is of a huge size, and if the data you are not going to use those data in a real time, and if the data is not subjected to any further modification, if all the above said criteria is associated with the data, the best option to store the data is in Glacier compared to that of storing the data. But if you want the data that will be frequently accessed, then you should not store it in a Glacier. Why so? Because it will be a time consuming if you want to retrieve it. So if the data is subjected to frequent access, in this case the option should be S3. Okay, these are all the ways by which the storage associated with the Amazon cloud is differed by. Okay, so now if you have any doubt, please. The usual scenario of storing the object in Glacier is you will first store in S3. In S3, we have different types of storage. We have a normal storage. We have a reduced redundancy storage. We have a infrequent access storage. These are all the various storage. Usually you will be first stored in the normal storage and laterly, okay, so it may be in a minimum of 1 month. Your data need to be stored in a normal storage in 1 month. Then after 1 month, it will be usually moved to infrequent access to storage. It will be there for the next 3 months. And after 3 months, you can write a script to move the data to the Glacier. The advantage here is, so for example, if you need to pay rupees 10 rupees for your data here, if it is in normal storage, if it is infrequent access to storage, you need to pay roughly 7 rupees. If it is Glacier, you need to pay only 1 rupee. Okay, so those data, if you are stored in Glacier, which took minimum 3 to 4 hours to access. So if it is a infrequent access to storage, within minutes you can able to access. Here if it is a normal storage, within seconds that you can able to access. So these are all the differences associated with the latency involved in accessing the data from S3 infrequent access, S3 normal storage and the Glacier. Okay. So instance store and elastic block store, there is no major difference between your cost. Usually your operating system, your OS related hard disk, it is recommended to go for instance store. Your data hard disk, if you are going to use some data storage alone, those hard disk is recommended to go from EBS. Why so? Because instance store, if you have your data in OS, then this is your physical server. On top of the physical server only you have created the instance. If you have your OS file in the hard disk of your physical server, it will be easy to quickly start the instance which you configure on your physical server, being the data can be read from the hard disk of the physical server itself. Whereas if you have a separate storage like a sandbox or a NAS box, if you have your operating system here and the instance need each and every time need to move to the SAN or NAS box to read the OS related files. So therefore, by default, operating system files will it is recommended to go for instance store, and data file it is recommended to go for EBS store. Okay, so these are all the ways by which the instance store, EBS store, S3 and Glacier differs by. Any other doubt? So I am going to do the following activity. First, I am going to create a bucket in S3. Then I am going to upload a object. Let me upload an image in S3 and let me set the permission as a public access permission, and I will show using the URL how to access that object. I will share you the URL. You people from your side, from your mobile or from your laptop or from your desktop, if you apply this URL on a browser, the object that I uploaded in my machine is viewable to you. That is what that we are going to do in our first this practice. You can do lot of things here, being it is a free session. I let you know the first activity. Now I am going to make a connection with Amazon. www.aws.amazon.com. Okay, click on my account. You want to get your own credentials. Okay, so in the next batch, in the next class, I let you know how to create an account and what are all the requirements. This is my account credential. Using which I got connected to So I got associated with the MFA device. I need to give the unique 6-digit generated by the MFA device to authenticate me as a legitimate user. Now I got connected to Amazon. Click on the services. Here you can find the storage S3 Glacier. Okay, so Elastic File System storage gateway here. Click on S3. So you can make use of either a new console or you can make use of a old console. So here, this is the activity. First, you are going to create a bucket. What is bucket? A bucket is nothing but a container which is used to store all the associated data. The bucket name should be unique in the region. That's the important thing. You can't have any two name, the same name for your bucket. A bucket name need to be unique. Please make a note about this diagram. Then you need to upload the data. After you created a bucket, here you need to upload the data. Then after that, what you need to do here, the same thing. We are going to upload a image on the data. Now we are going to set some permissions. Okay, by default, if you have uploaded any object to the bucket, if you have uploaded any object to the bucket, by default the access privilege will be private. Okay, here what you need to do, you need to set the access privilege to be public. So first thing, I am going up with this old console. So first I am going to create a bucket. The bucket name need to be unique. Let I create a name Raja. Then you can choose a region, or by default it will store in a US standard region. Click on create. Now it is throwing the requested bucket name is not available. Why so? Because somebody who is working with this region may have the same name. The same name. Okay, so what you need to do, in order to make it unique, let I add another number here, Raja 6. Let me create. Now you can find a bucket is created under Raja 6. So now this is the bucket that you have created. You click on the bucket and you can find the associated or properties associated with the bucket. The bucket is Raja. Okay, it is created in the US standard region. The owner of the bucket is the account owner. Then these are all the permissions. If you want to set up permissions to this bucket, list permission, upload permission, delete the objects in the bucket, and edit, these are all the permissions. Else you can add more permission by specifying some bucket policies. Okay, this is the bucket policy. So here the bucket policy will similar to, you want to write a script through which you can control the access to the policies. Okay, so this is one of the policies. Here this policy, what this policy is showing to you is, this is the policy that you need to create. This policy allows all the action in this S3 bucket. The name of the bucket, you should assign the name of the bucket. In this case, What is the name of the bucket? Raja 6 is the name of the bucket. What sort of action? It should permit all the actions. S3, here the asterisk star shows that all the action under this bucket need to be allowed, except only one condition. What condition? If the IP address of all the computer is in the following range, then you should allow, not IP. If the IP address is in the following range, if it is a specific IP address 54.240.143, if you try to access a computer, for example, imagine that you have a network of multiple computers, then you have your S3, you have some data stored in S3. So you have written this policy to this S3. Here the S3 you created a bucket by name Raja 6. Therefore, what you need to do, you want to specify Raja 6 here. Okay, it permits allow. What sort of action? All action. So you can able to read, you can able to write, you can upload, download any activity on this Raja bucket. Raja 6 bucket is permitted for whom? All the people coming from this IP address. So this network address 54.240.143.0 is your network address. First computer, second computer, like you have, let me imagine 200 computers. So you need to deny access for one computer, 540.240.143.188. If any user sitting in the computer and try to access the bucket, that access should be denied. All other access need to be permitted. By the way, you need to write this policy. This is called as a policy. So you can write a policy using a policy generator. By the way, what are all the things that you are interested? If you want only the action, upload action alone need to be permitted. Means here instead of asterisk, you need to specify upload. See, so by the way, you can make a allow or deny what sort of action that particular user need to be given permitted to this bucket can be specified using this bucket policies. Okay. So this is the way by which you can set up bucket policy. Now we are not going to set up bucket policy. So now you can also make this versioning enabled. So if you do anything, it is similar to Git and GitHub. If you do any changes on the data, then the older version as well as the current version will be retained there. If you enable this versioning. Okay, in lifecycle only you need to specify. So first these are all the rules associated with the life cycle. You have your data stored in your, first thing you have your data stored in the S3 bucket, and laterly you can specify that the data can be moved into infrequent access, or the data can be moved into life cycling. In this life cycling only you need to set the policies. Initially the data need to be in your normal, laterally it need to be moved to the infrequent access, and from infrequent access it need to move to Glacier, like things. Those policies are termed as life cycle policies. Here this bucket can also used for hosting your static web server, not a dynamic web server. So here we have already discussed how to configure a server using EC2. We created a EC2 instance, and top of it we have configured a web server, and the web server is a static server. You no need to have a EC2 instance. You create a bucket and you upload all the files, that is your index.html file and your error.html file, okay, in this bucket, then and set the bucket as a static website hosting. Okay, so these are all the ways by which you can make use of the bucket. Here we are going to upload an object to the bucket, and we are going to share the object. So if the bucket is now empty, if you click on all bucket, it will list the Raja. If you click on Raja 6, it will let you take inside the bucket, you can find now you are under Raja 6. Raja 6 is containing nothing. Okay. The properties of Raja 6, it shows it is nothing. It is an empty bucket. Now what we are going to do? We are going to load a object into the bucket. How to upload a object? Click on upload. Click on upload. Click here. You can able to upload the files. So each file can be of maximum size 5 TB. You can upload any number of files. There is no restriction in uploading. A single file size can be up to maximum of 5 terabytes. Okay, click on add files. You choose any file here. Pictures. Let me take some pictures. Let me take this panda. Now cola.jpg whose size is okay, now this file has been added. You can find the total number of files one. The total upload size is 762.5. Start upload. Now you can find the activity here. Upload started. The progress will show to you. Now it is uploaded. Now this cola.jpg, which is showing under this bucket Raja 6, is uploaded to Amazon. Okay, Amazon cloud. Now I need to access this. How I can access? So just click on the property. Once the object is uploaded, you can find a URL is associated with the object. The URL http s3.amazonaws.com raja6 cola.jpg. So to whom that you are interested in sharing this object, for the people you need to simply share the URL. You can able to access the object by simply opening the URL in a copy the URL, open a new web browser, simply paste that, then the URL will be displayed. By default, it won't display. Why so? Because any object, if you upload it into the bucket, by default it will be a private object. If it wants, so it is showing an error, XML files does not appear. What you need to do, you want to make this object as a public object. Then only you can able to access. Just right click, or you can go up with this go to action, make public. If each and every activity is logged here, if you can find make public has been done. Now Cola's property is a public property. Now if you simply click on this, you can find Cola will be shown to you. Where I have, so initially Cola was in my computer. I am using a computer, i5 computer, under which I had this cola.jpg. What I did, in my account, I created a bucket by name raja.6. Under raja.6, I had uploaded this cola. This is my S3. And once it is uploaded, a URL is created. By simply copy and paste the URL in my web browser, I can able to view this cola which is uploaded in my web browser. So I will share you. You can also try the URL. The same URL. You try this URL by using your mobile or your laptop. I share this URL to you. Each and everyone can try. You can find, just copy and paste the URL in your browser screen. You can able to view the same cola here. Yes or no, please let me know. Okay. So this is the way by which you need to upload an object, and you can make an access permission to the object, and based upon the access permission it will be. Okay, now I made it. Similarly, you can create anything. I will upload another object. click on upload. So here we have an option called as multi-path upload. You have an option here in this case called multi-path upload. Multi-path upload in sense, if your object, imagine if you are going to share a video, the video size is a huge large. Therefore, what you can do, you can split the video into different parts and you can able to upload all the path concurrently. This is called multi-path upload. You can also set these options. Okay, I will show how to set in the subsequent classes. Now I will show you another one. Add another file. When we add this another penguin and you start upload. It started uploaded. And it is little bit small, so it's a little bit slow. Now it got uploaded. You try this penguin.jpg. This is the penguin.jpg. Click on this property file. I will share you this penguin.jpg. You try. You remove the link, okay? You should start with only HTTP. You remove K and all other things. Error. It will show you error. Why so? Because it is showing that it is a private. Now I am going to make it a click on this object, click on action and make it public. Okay. Now you try the same thing. Now I had made it public. You try the same URL and let me make it a check whether it is working or not. Okay, here this is the way by which you can able to access a document. You just choose a document, upload the document. The document will create you a URL. You just copy and paste the URL in your window. What happened here is it will prompt you for a download box and you can click on download and it will download the content and it will store the content in the region that you have specified. These are all the ways by using a S3 you can go up with adding or removing. Okay, the same thing you can able to remove. If you want to remove, click on the object, click on action, simply delete. That's all. Yes, it will delete the content. Simply click on colo, action, delete. If you now try to access this cola, what happened? It will throw you a error. In voice because this cola.jpg has been removed. You also try with your computer. The initially loaded cola, if you try to again reload it, it will throw you the same error. Please make a check and let me know. This is the way of uploading and downloading the object to Amazon S3. Yes. Okay, the same thing that you will got. Now, how to access data in Glacier? A overall view. Our curriculum will deals with the access of all other things. How to create a static website, how to enable logging, how to enable cross-zone deployment. All these things is associated with our curriculum. So Glacier, you can find this Glacier similar to that your container bucket in S3. In Glacier, we have a container called as Vault. Please make a note. Difference between Vault and bucket is a container in S3, vault is a container in Glacier. Similarly, you need to create a vault. You want to specify a vault name. Again, let me create a vault by name Raja 66. Then you can click on next step. So you can enable a notification. Else you don't need to enable notification. Why you need notification here in this sense? If you upload anything, it took nearly 4 hours to complete the upload. If you download, this is your vault. Okay, storage component of your Glacier. If you try to upload any object, okay, it took a minimum 3 to 4 hours to upload, to reflect. Okay, similarly, if you try to download any object, it took the same 3 to 4 hours to download. You can't able to wait until it got uploaded or downloaded. What you can do, you can create a SNS notification topic. So this SNS topic will email you, or it will send a SMS to you once the upload or download is completed. Once the upload or download is completed, you can send a notification either through email or SMS mail service, or through simple message service, so that once it is uploaded or downloaded, the user can able to access the data. That is the reason why we have this event notification has been set. Okay, then after that, next step, so the vault name, simply submit, will create the vault. That's all. And laterly you can make an update. This is the way by which you can make use of either a Glacier, or if it is S3, in S3 you want to specify the life cycle. You can first store the object in S3, and laterly what you can do, using this life cycle rule, you can configure that the object can be moved from the S3 to the Glacier storage. So this thing will be discussed. How to assign this life cycle rule, everything will be discussed. Okay. So a transition action will define the object is moved from one storage class is another storage class. Okay. The expiration action, when it need to delete. These are all the things that you need to specify. So this is the rule that we need to specify. I will share you how it will work in our later classes. S3 object lifecycle. You can find this is the rule. Okay, transition to the standard infrequent access storage 30 days after the object creation date. Then move to the Glacier storage after 60 days of object creation days. Then after this much of days, 100 days, okay, remove permanently. So this is the way. Fine. Today is July 15th, 2007. So you are uploading an object. Once you set the rule, life cycle rule for this object, so after 30 days, it will move to the infrequent access storage. Then you need to pay a little bit less. Then at July 15th, June, July, August 14th, it will move to the infrequent access storage. And that will be there for another 30 days. After 60 days, once you upload it, in September 13, at the end of 60th day, it will move to the Glacier storage. And in Glacier, in this example, it will be there until 425 days. And after 425 days, the object will be deleted. This is the way by which you need to set the transition rule. Okay, so these are all the ways of putting the object in your Glacier directory, or you can store the object in S3, and applying these rules, you can allow the object to move to the Glacier according to the time limit. Okay. So these are all the various types of storages associated with Amazon. Now in our discussion, we have discussed about the instance store. So how to create an instance store will be discussed laterly by using instance backed AMI. You want to create an instance store, and in our previous class we have discussed how to create EBS and how to attach and how to detach EBS. Like in our today's discussion, we have discussed about S3, how to create S3 and how to upload an object from S3 and how to download the object from S3 and how to remove the S3. And we also discussed about some basic concepts of Glacier. In this Glacier, what is a vault, then how to store the object directly into the Glacier, into the vault, or how to move the object from S3 into the Glacier. So these are all the things. So how to move the real-time practicals will be discussed in the coming sessions. In tomorrow's session, we will be having discussion on the more focus on S3, how to make this S3. Okay, we have just now uploaded the object. We can discuss all the above set, versioning, how to enable versioning, how to make logging, how to configure a website, how to assign permissions. Okay, so how to move object by initially storing S3 from S3 into the storage, what is tag, what is requested pay, everything will be discussed in our tomorrow session, which is supposed to be held on 12 to 1:30 p.m. Okay, so from tomorrow, if you want to continue, you need to pay the fee. I had already shared you the course content and the fee. My course content here, it is two things. One is AWS Solution Architect, which I had now shared to you. The second thing is DevOps. Both these course content togetherly we need. Along with that, we also deal with the virtualization concept, how to create virtualization and associated things. Also some basic Linux admin commands. These two things will cover 10. These two things will cover 20. Therefore, our total duration is 60 hours. The course fees is 20,000, including both the things. Okay, to make you what I am capable of, to make you aware what I am capable of and how the classes will be going on, I had shared you the first, second, third and fourth classes. All the four classes are free classes. So from tomorrow's class, you need to pay. You can pay it in two installments, 10,000, 10,000 each. Okay. So if you have any clarification regarding this, please let me know. This is my mobile 94434 54002 +91. Else you can call with +91 8870324388. Or you can call up with the number which is shared to you on WhatsApp. Rajagopal and Saravnan's number. Okay, you can make use of it. EFS stands for Elastic File Store. Umasankar, that will be covered in our curriculum. Elastic File Store, which is a newly added service. You can reach my mail Raman Sriranga @gmail.com. Raman Sriranga continues. If you have any doubt in your class in terms of its syllabus, in terms of its timings, in terms of the fees, you can call me directly to this number. So if you have any concern, please let me know, else we can complete this session. Okay. What are all the things that I have discussed to you in these 4 free classes are a overall view. We have an in-depth discussion on each and every services in our forthcoming classes. Okay, this is my mail, Raman without space, sriranga@gmail.com, and the contact number is 94434 54002 You feel free to call me for the above set timing. Fees is 20,000. Syllabus is AWS Solution Architect plus DevOps, and timing Saturday and Sunday. Home, I will share you home. You go through that and let you make a final call. Thanks a lot.